You are listening to KLRN Radio, where liberty and reason still reign.
Hi, I'm Jay Farner, CEO of Quicken Loans, America's largest mortgage lender. Spring will be here soon, so if buying a new home is on your to-do list, right now is the time to call Quicken Loans. Learn about which mortgage options make sense for you and get a jump on your competition. With our exclusive Rate Shield approval, the low rate you lock today is protected for up to 90 days while you shop for your new home. With a Rate Shield approval, if rates go up, your low rate stays locked. But if rates go down, you get that new, even lower rate. Either way, you win. Talk to us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com to take advantage. Here's another great reason to work with us. For a record 9 years in a row, J.D. Power has ranked Quicken Loans highest in the nation in customer satisfaction for primary mortgage origination. Again, to lock in today's low mortgage interest rate and get the security of our exclusive Rate Shield approval, call us today at 800-QUICKEN or go to rocketmortgage.com.
For J.D. Power award information, visit jdpower.com. Rate Shield approval only valid on certain 30-year fixed-rate loans. Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. License in all 50 states. NMLS number 3030.
Hi, welcome to the Subway ad for the new Sesame Ginger Glazed Chicken Signature Wrap. How would you like it?
I'll take a...
Sports announcer at home?
Yeah, how'd you...
We just know.
My wife picks up the new Signature Wrap. It's got double the rotisserie-style chicken mixed with a sesame ginger glaze. She appears annoyed at me, but she shrugs it off. Those sweet and savory flavors are calling her name. She lifts the wrap and she takes the bite! Incredible! And now she's closing the door on my... Subway, make it what you want.
Limited time only at participating restaurants. Double meat based on average 6-inch sub.
I'm little teapot, short and stout.
Here is my handle and here is my spout.
No, Dad, like this. When I get all steamed up, then I shout, tip me over and pour me out.
This is WWE superstar Roman Reigns. It only takes a moment to make a moment. Take time to be a dad today.
Visit fatherhood.gov, brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
KLRN Radio has advertising rates available. We have rates to fit almost any budget. Contact us at advertising@klrnradio.com.
Thoughts of suicide may feel impossible to overcome, but with help and support, you can find hope and meaning. Call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline at 1-800-273-TALK to speak to a counselor, or visit suicidepreventionlifeline.org. It's free, it's confidential, it's available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And even if it feels like it, you're not alone.
It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go.
Cyber Wars, and I am, according to Stoner, the Devil Princess. I have with me tonight, of course, my friends Orty Packard and Jeff the Stoner Dude. What's up, guys?
Hello.
Hey, Orty. Is Jeff with
Hey
us
there,
or
everyone.
no? Are you here, Jeff?
I believe so.
Okay, good. Check for me and make sure.
Pulse check.
Yeah.
1 2 1 2.
All right, sounds good. Yeah, so happy Monday, guys. Happy President's Day. Did I lose you?
I'm here. I lost you for a second.
Uh-oh. Okay, we don't want to start that. Happy President's Day. Happy President's Day, everybody in the chat. See a bunch of people in there already. Um,
I'm old enough to remember when we celebrated Washington and Lincoln's birthdays separately.
Right.
Not me. I'm not that old. Yeah, no, I'm old enough. I'm actually older than Orty and Jeff. I'm older than both you guys. So yeah, now we
Still
celebrate
don't believe that.
But anyway, so now we celebrate President's Day. Yeah, Jeff doesn't believe me, but it's true. Now, it's been a really crazy kind of 3 weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. And we're just going to jump right into probably. So, if impeachment and FISA courts and spying on citizens and all of these other things weren't enough, something happened this week that you might have missed because I haven't seen it. I haven't seen it a lot. Have you, Orty?
I haven't seen it anywhere. Not
This was the
mentioned
first I'd
once.
even remotely heard of.
Okay, so in other words, if I didn't have certain cyber news alerts turned on and I hadn't sent it to you, you wouldn't have seen it.
No, not one bit. This did
Wow.
not pop up on any of my news feeds.
Wow.
Completely off my radar.
I knew I hadn't seen it very many places, and that was one reason that I tweeted it because it hadn't come up. But evidently, it's been going on since November when it was first reported. So let's just go ahead and explain what's going on. Evidently, sometime around what it was September of 2016, right?
Correct.
September of 2016. Yes, we are talking about 3.5 years ago now. The Palm Beach County, and of course it would be Palm Beach County because they've never been in the news when it comes to voting problems. The Palm Beach County elections offices, the board of elections or the county office of elections suffered a ransomware attack. Now, our regular listeners know because we've talked about ransomware enough. They know how kind of destructive it is, right? So it's a very destructive force for one thing. So they never reported it. They never said anything to anyone. DeSantis, the new governor that was elected, I think in 2018,
Yeah.
was a Republican member of Congress, but now he's the governor of Florida.
Which also will cast out that his election was problem plagued in regards to Palm Beach County with them getting the votes right. And that was, a lot of the whole, he didn't win, I'm not conceding bullshit that went on down there, similar to Georgia. But it was strictly because of Palm Beach. The entire state had recounted all of their ballots, and Palm Beach hadn't, to the point where it was, yeah.
They did, yeah, that was, there was so much drama. And with that, with the head of elections, I forget what they call them in Florida, but like the commissioner of the county commissioner of elections or whatever they call their head person, director, whatever, in that county caused a huge stink, refused to recount the votes, and I mean, it was huge drama. Like I said, Palm Beach never crops up with election problems ever, right? In national elections. No, that doesn't happen. At any rate, so DeSantis, um, she ended up resigning, I think, but DeSantis appointed someone to clean up the fiasco, the entire. Hold on just a second.
This program contains coarse language and adult themes.
Yeah, so
Parental discretion is advised. Naughty words and boobs. These are like Zastrovia.
DeSantis appointed someone to clean up the clusterfuck that is Palm Beach County elections. What were you gonna say, Orty?
Oh, I was just covering while you were wrestling with dog. Yeah, and to make matters worse, not only did DeSantis have to send her in to do Susan Boucher in there to send her in to rectify this problem, but also probably still wouldn't have come to light if the head of the Palm Beach County Elections Department, IT department, was not forced to resign recently due to child pornography on his phone, allegedly.
Allegedly, right? Because
So
yeah.
the new IT director, who when she was interviewing for the new IT director, one of the top IT employee the top IT employees of the department mentioned back in September 2016 about this ransomware attack, and he never heard of anything that came from it. Well, this was the first time Boucher heard about it. This was the first time DeSantis heard about it. This was the first time the FBI heard about it. This was the first time Department of Homeland Security heard about it. Was back in October, November of last year.
In other words, it was buried. And if this one IT guy had not been interviewing for this job, for this position to lead the department, and not have mentioned, and it was probably a question like, what would be the first thing that you would do? Well, I would find out what happened with that ransomware attack. I'm sorry, what ransomware attack? The one back in
Pardon me?
2016. I mean, I can hear the interview, right? I mean, I can like hear it in my head. So, come to find out, they they suffered a ransomware attack in 2016. Nobody knows what type of attack, really. I mean, the IT guy said ransomware. Well, okay, so you've got some ransomware. You know that there was some ransomware there because the ransomware makes itself very obvious to you, right? It locks your shit up. You get a message that says, go to this website and give us this much Bitcoin and we'll give you the decryption code and good luck decrypting your files.
Well, and that's what I found funny about this one is the one they got hit with was called Zepto, which was actually based on another malware called Locky. And the page that they got sent to pay in Bitcoin was using the old Locky malware decryptor page.
Okay, and who did they say was responsible for that? Do they know what the country source was for that?
I did not find any mention of that yet.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, I'm looking through it too. It's a VBA script, and we've talked that affects Word and Excel documents, and we've talked about state actors who use that, but tying it down to a specific APT or organized group is not listed.
Yeah, and lots of times you can, sometimes you can't, sometimes you can. That's referred to as a stomp.
Yeah.
When you do that to a script in a file, to a macro in a file. So the that's just kind of useless like trivia information, but I mean it's my mind is completely blown by this whole fiasco, this entire clusterfuck.
Well,
Go ahead.
No, when interviewed, Tammy Jones, the head of the Florida State Association of Supervisors of Elections, said in 2016 it wasn't surprising that a cyber attack would have gone unreported, which I think is just total BS.
It is BS.
Because, I mean, this was not only was it the forefront of the news, especially in September of 2016, leading into the November elections, of Russian hackers and, I mean, that was when the whole Russian collusion narrative started.
Yeah.
And we all we heard about every day was, Russian memesters on Facebook influencing the election and how every election was getting hacked. So no, bullshit. Well, that definitely would have been reported to DHS at the time.
Oh, it totally would have, because within a few months of that is when Brian Kemp here in Georgia was the Secretary of State, was jumping up and down mad like pissed off because someone had tried to get into the Secretary of State's voter systems, and they tracked the IP back to DHS. So all of that was going on. So even if it hadn't been reported in September of 2016, by January of 2017, when Brian Kemp was jumping up and down about DHS trying to get into the systems in Georgia, they certainly would have. It was by January. I mean, and they had 3 years. They had 3
Well,
years. Yeah.
Not just that. In an interview with Ion Sancho from Leon County, he said that the FBI was aware of 2 separate other instances of Florida elections offices being breached, and that the FBI sat on them until it was brought forward by Special Counsel Robert Mueller in his testimony before Congress.
Right.
So again, that's just a flat out lie that, it wouldn't have been reported when even Robert Mueller said, oh yeah, it happened in Florida. And nobody knew what he was talking about with that until this story came out.
Those other 2 counties were in the Panhandle of Florida. One of them, it was confirmed, was in the Panhandle of Florida. They reported what happened in, their attempted hacking or someone trying to breach their systems. They reported it. Those other 2 counties reported it. So yes, absolutely. In 2016, I mean, if you think about it, time flies. So, it's kind of hard to say, well, how long has all this hacking stuff been going on? Since Lulzsec hacked HB Gary, people have been publicly reporting hacks. Government has been reporting hacks to the FBI and bringing the FBI in to investigate, especially governmental hacks. Since that at least since that happened, like you don't fail to report the hack of an election system, and that hasn't been the case since. I mean, I'd say 2010, definitely. But in 2016, no way did you fail to report that. Absolutely not. Unless, I mean, if you didn't, it was very intentional. It was an intentional attempt to hide it. I will make that leap without any question whatsoever to say absolutely they were trying to hide it. Why they were trying to hide it, who friggin' knows? But the FBI is investigating now. But there's so many, so when we were looking at this story, talking about covering it tonight, Orty said we could do half or the whole show on this because there's so much to unpack. There's so much else to unpack here. What else is there, Orty?
There really is. I mean, I'm having trouble just fathoming the whole timeline. It just makes zero sense in my head.
Right, yeah, it absolutely does. It makes zero sense because they went from 2016 when they knew that they had been compromised by ransomware, right? And what confidence, if your system hasn't been fully, the IT guy that was being interviewed said nothing ever came of it. Well, if you say to me nothing ever came of it, then that means that a full, intensive, and thorough investigation of the systems themselves have not been done.
Agreed.
So can you be certain that there's not a back door on that election system? Absolutely not. You can't be sure of that.
Well, this whole thing was prompted by, we talked about it a few weeks ago, about how Department of Homeland Security has been meeting with county officials in order to harden electronic voting equipment and harden election equipment.
Right.
So this whole kind of thing came about was that, DHS sent a half dozen people down to Palm Beach, and in the meantime, their main IT guy gets busted for allegedly having child pornography, so they have to hire a new IT department. This whole thing just kind of snowballed within the last few weeks. So, I mean, do I think they're hardened now? Oh, yeah. Do I think that they were hardened in 2018? Oh no.
No, absolutely. That was absolutely my point. They went through an election in 2018 and had a contested gubernatorial race. And it was hotly contested. Like there was a
Yeah.
lot that was contested in 2018, but that election was pretty big. Bigger than, the Kemp Stacey Abrams thing that went on in Georgia, which was actually pretty ugly, but this Florida one was like way bigger than that.
You know what really garners my attention about how long it was. Basically, the malware they got changed the file names endings to Zepto. And as listeners of our show know, that there are times where malware 1 is a hidden ball game.
Yes.
And that they backdoor something secondary. So when it looks like they've paid or cleaned up the first one, the second one is still there.
Yes, absolutely. Ransomware can definitely be somewhat of a smokescreen for a much larger and more important backdoor.
Yeah, it's the false flag. It's the, hey, look over here at your ransomware while we put in some key logging malware on the other side, and you're so focused on this and getting your all your files unlocked from the ransom one way or the other, and you're not paying attention to. And even then, you could be doing. And we've talked about how intricate some of this malware is, that it would totally pass a scan. Unless they were specifically looking for something, and just sit there as a text file in the root directory until 2020 when it needed to be activated again.
Yeah, it does. It does pass the scan until someone identifies it. That's the thing. That's why, that's why your antivirus gets so many updates, and like every time you run it, it downloads another update because it every malware, every backdoor, every Trojan, every ransomware passes the scan until what the IOCs, as we call them, the indicators of compromise, have been identified. And if you are a state actor and you're going after an election system in a county like Palm Beach County, and if I am a foreign actor and I'm looking for a county to go after, that's going to be one of the first ones on my list. Because
Agreed.
really, because it's always a cluster, and so who's going to think, it was us when they're a cluster
And you're
of
not going to
10?
bat. And the brilliant part is that you can mess with the election in such a way that you garner discourse from both sides, because you can up both sides, like say Trump 4.5% and Clinton 4.6%, and no one will bat an eye because of where it took.
Well, and you don't even have to go that far into it. This is just all you have to do to really cause trouble. You don't have to mess with the election results one bit. All you have to do is activate during the election.
Yep.
Let them let them all of a sudden find your malware. You ping out and they go, oh shit, we're compromised. You do that right in the middle of an election, you have just invalidated the results of that whole election and caused everything into turmoil. And you didn't have to change a single vote.
Okay, remind me who sent us the video today. It wasn't Rooster. Was it Rooster that sent us the video today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that video, Rooster. The when they the grand champion in that video of the modern rogues top 5 cyber crimes, the grand champion, who I think is the guy that we've took from the Ukraine that had the FSB operations on his servers. I think it's the same guy, but they activated an ATM and made it spit out money, and that's how they got caught. And they were laughing at him like that was somebody made a big mistake, but maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe they were done, and I mean, this is hacker culture kind of thing. Is like you're not gonna catch me, and at the time they did the video, which was just a year and a half ago, they hadn't caught him. And when you do catch me, you're not going to be able to come get me because I'm in Russia and Putin likes me, right? That kind of thing. So I'm just going to activate this ATM and make you all look really stupid. And
Yeah, because you don't know how long I've been in here. You don't know how many half pennies I've moved around.
right, but you're about to find out because hackers are. Please, all you hackers out there, don't be mad at me for saying this, but you guys are all fame fags, and you know it.
Really are.
Yeah, absolutely.
They really are.
Well, I mean, yeah, but I mean, it's like, do you want to win the Super Bowl and nobody ever know that you won the Super Bowl? I mean, you can't blame them, right? You do something fantastic, you want people to know about it. So, but they're all fame fags. So, but that's a side story. To your point, Orty, absolutely. All they have to do is activate and at at the right time. September was, I think, maybe a little bit early, but at the time there was they Hillary's emails were already being leaked, right? I think the last leak that came out was October. That was the very last one. It was some kind of October surprise. So this would have been right before that. So the whole country was up in arms about, election hacking. So, maybe it was perfect timing from that perspective.
Right, and they may not still be in there, but like I said, if you see something pop up in Palm Beach County in 2020 election in November this year, remember who said it. It's been sitting there dormant the whole time.
Well, and if you look, and if you really watch cyber news, and you so they and you look at the past 3 or 4 months, or 6 months or 8 months, the length of time that we've been doing this show, right? We've seen the Ukrainian hacker that with the FSB stuff on his servers went down. The Chinese got nailed for the Experian hack.
The false flag Burisma hack.
The false flag, but yes, yes, the one we're calling a false flag. Nobody else has done it, but so if it turns out to be right that it was really a false flag, you heard it here first. So yeah, but stuff like that. I mean, we're seeing a lot of, but we're seeing a lot of people getting caught and a lot of people being named. And it, in my in my opinion, there are fewer question marks. Forensics is better. Cybersecurity is better. Will never be 100%. It's a constant, battle. Cowboys and Indians. Of who's going to come out on top. Hackers or cybersecurity. It's a constant tug of war between those two. But lately we've seen a lot of major blue team victories where they're stopping. And it was like this in early 2000s when companies like Akamai came along and DDoS was the big thing, and DDoS a bank for 24 hours and the stock market would crash, and they made a lot of inroads into stopping those kind of things, and it's happening in general in cybersecurity and with data breaches to some extent, but with as far as the government and our election systems and the things that the approach to it and really the approach to it and the ability to stop it and the hardening of systems has moved since 2016. That the Democrats love to say that Trump doesn't care. Obviously, he cares more than you ever did because you knew it was going on in 2016 and didn't do a damn thing about it. But he's made exponential inroads in.
There has definitely been a concerted effort to fight all of this in the last couple of.
There you go.
And we talked about it a month and a half ago when, the first I had heard about it was when it was in my local paper about DHS contacting all counties to get a thumbs up, thumbs down on the hardening of their, elections equipment from top to bottom in the elections department. I mean, even a small county like I'm in. I mean, I take that back. My county is the size of 3 eastern states, but the population is ridiculously small, and most of the votes are vote by mail. But still, the DHS took the time to call the county and say, hey, you guys good? We need to send anybody out?
Right. Exactly. And there's the government, the federal government has to be careful about how much they stick their nose into local elections business, right? So pretty much all they really can do is say, do you need help? Are you good? That kind of thing. They can't, they just like Brian Kemp got mad at them. They were like, well, we were just testing. Yeah, you can't do that. You can't just poke around in our election systems and say, well, we were just testing.
I would really love to see a politician go on record and blast the DHS for checking to see if election security was solid. I would love to see that headline that somebody was making waves about the DHS securing our elections.
Well, that Brian.
Don't get me wrong; it would happen. Don't.
Yeah.
It would happen.
Yeah, but Brian Kemp did. But to be fair, they didn't tell him that they were going to do it beforehand.
Right.
Right, and I still, that's another story. I'm still suspicious.
Don't hack me, bro.
Yeah, don't hack me, bro. I'm still suspicious about, whether that was really legit or not, because it was between the 2016 election. It was after the election, but it was before Trump's inauguration. So it was during the Obama lame duck period. So, but that's all I'm going to say about that. I'm going to say that going into the break, and I doubt very seriously that we are done talking about this. So we'll probably come out of the break with a little bit more on it. But we'll be right back.
That's the state of my head. That's the state of my head. It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go.
My son was in the Army back during Desert Storm, but even then he wanted an MBA. He looked at a dozen schools, but only one offered the online education and flexibility he needed while he was in a tent in Iraq. Grantham University. Turns out that Grantham's been delivering affordable, relevant college and advanced degrees for over 65 years. Heck, if they can deliver a quality education to a soldier in a tent overseas, think about the flexibility Grantham can offer you so you can earn your degree too. It doesn't matter how complicated or full your life is, if getting a degree is on your bucket list, you'll want to do what my son did. You'll want to call Grantham. Find out how easy it is to get started on your education so you can check that college degree off your bucket list. Call Grantham right now, 800-910-1370. That's 800-910-1370. Flexible, affordable, relevant. Call 800-910-1370.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.
Attention business owners and independent contractors. This is a money-saving message from Tax Mediation Services. If your business owes $20,000 or more in taxes, we can help you today, right now. Listen, dealing with the IRS is no picnic. It's an intimidating and extremely stressful process, and you don't want to go it alone. Our attorneys know every law, every tax break, and every possible opportunity to help you resolve and reduce your tax debt. And if you owe more than $20,000, you may be at the top of their hit list. So don't take your tax debt lightly, because it will not go away on its own. The IRS can seize your bank accounts, your home, and even shut down your business. Call our tax experts today at 1-800-783-0810 and let us deal with the IRS while you focus on your business. That's 1-800-783-0810. Again, that's 800-783-0810.
First things first, I'ma say all the words inside my head. I'm fired up and tired of the way that things have been. Oh, ooh, the way that things have been. Oh, ooh. Second thing, second, don't you tell me what you think that I can be. I'm the one at the sail, I'm the master of my sea. Oh, ooh, the master of my sea. Oh, ooh. I was broken from a young age, taking my soak into the masses, writing my poems for the few that look at me, took me, shook me, feeling me, singing from heartache, from the pain.
Alrighty, we're back. We're having a good off-air conversation. Which one of you guys want to pick it up?
Well, Jeff, it was your point, so. Jeff? Well, one thing I wanted to do while we, lost. Okay, Jeff said his sound went out. I did want to issue a correction that I had earlier mentioned the name of Susan Boucher as the director of elections. That was the former one. The new one is Wendy Link. So apologize for that. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you got the Florida Palm Beach election official's name wrong. Oh well.
Well,
Well, yeah.
We can't talk about accuracy, and then so.
Well, that's true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Thank
So
you for going there.
Yeah. What did you want to wrap up with this one, Lou?
No, what was Jeff saying? Since he lost but he was making a really good point.
Damn. You know what? I was all ready for it too. I was ready for his lead-in, so I.
Well, so we were talking about the way that it went down, right? And so files were there are several people that they've talked to, that the media has talked to, and that Wendy Link talked to determine that she needed to report this to DHS when she reported it this past November, again, over 3 years after it actually happened. So they've talked to some of these people, and one of the people that worked in the office said that they were watching files disappear before their eyes, And that Darter, which was the IT director at the time that Orty was talking about, had resigned, probably because of this kerfuffle, because it was not too long ago. So this is reported. Link found. No, it wouldn't have been because of this kerfuffle. I wonder why he did.
No, it was because of the alleged child pornography on his phone.
Oh,
which brings me to a larger point: wouldn't it be hell if they got this virus on their systems because he was going to sites he shouldn't have been on company computers?
He might have actually created a vulnerability because of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I would think that they would have been a target one way or another, but if someone's looking for a way to get in and they see that he's doing that, then absolutely that could have been how they got in. So
I mean, if you're compromised, you compromise everything you touch, and he was compromised.
right, and that's how we're going to close out the show, is with password security. But
Jeff, did we get you back?
I think so.
Yeah, you're here.
You're back.
We got you back.
Yeah. So they were
That was
watching
weird.
things. They were watching Word files and Excel files.
Yeah,
Disappear
they were
before
watching the
their
extensions
eyes.
change, and yeah, and then show up with the Zapto, going from .exl to .zappo.
Right, exactly, which I thought was really interesting. And then the Darter, the guy that had resigned, was yelling at another IT person to shut down the server. So he's yelling at the
Yeah.
network guy to shut down the servers. So
Yeah, unplug everything.
yeah, you rip the plugs out of the wall, shut the servers down. So they basically they stopped it by shutting servers down in the middle of an attack, right? And
Right.
you don't know what's going to happen when you start them back up, and yeah.
I know when I left, you were talking about I was about to make a point.
You were.
You were, and we held it off for you when you came.
It was about one of the officials saying that they had no acknowledgement or no belief that it impacted an election at all.
Yeah, and that just doesn't track because, I mean, it's like I said before, its very presence compromises an election. It's kind of like in quantum physics, and when you observe the state of something, you affect it.
Yeah. Everyone talks about voter apathy. All this stuff coming out of Palm Beach County year after year after year. If I lived there, why would I bother?
Yeah, I think he just dropped off again, but that's a really good point. Why would you bother voting if you lived in Palm Beach County? What?
Right, especially it's not since their first or their fourth fuck up.
They're repeated. It does degrade your confidence that your vote matters, and in such an important state with the presidential election, it does more damage by just being there than if it actually does affect any vote.
Yeah, exactly. And there's we are all. I challenge anyone to tell me that they're not sick to death of hearing how Trump used Russia to cheat for him in the 2016 election. When this went on in a county that he lost to Hillary by 100,000 votes, and they never friggin' reported it.
Sure, yeah. It's like Rooster said, chat. They went full Florida, man.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
They are the Florida of Florida.
They are the Florida of Florida. Absolutely. The other one is Broward.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the other county, and if I was DeSantis,
And Dade.
yeah, yes, and if I was DeSantis, I'd have people in those counties looking at their election systems and going through their servers and I was going to say logs, but those logs are long gone. See, that's the thing.
I mean, I mean, the thing is too is after so much time has passed, we were talking about it before the show. These hard drives got a BlackBerry treatment. They've been hit with a hammer so hard that there's just platters shattering all over the
Well,
place.
that's
So
the thing.
yeah, all forensics is gone.
If you wanted to if you wanted to get rid of the evidence, if you don't report it, you don't want it reported. You don't want anyone to know about it. You're smashing hard drives.
Right.
I
And
mean,
you're in Florida, so you're near oceans. You after you smash them, you
Yeah.
exactly. That's
You
why.
got big industrial ship breaking magnets that, let's just walk these platters underneath them.
Yeah, that's why this episode is called Palm Beach County Jumped the Sharknado.
Yeah.
They totally jumped the Sharknado on this one. I can't even, I mean, I don't even know. There is so much to unpack with this. I'm gonna put the links in the chat so you can link there so you can look at them. Because
Yeah, so far there's just this one story from the Miami Herald, and that is all we could find on it so far.
yes, but there are so many links to so many connected stories in this one story that it's definitely
there's a
worth
lot to
going.
unfurl.
Yeah, it's worth going through all of them. So I'm gonna give you guys this link in the chat so that you can look through it.
And the scary part is the Sharknado is more believable than what transpired.
It is almost unbelievable, except that it was the 2016 election. It's a Democrat-run county in Florida, so I totally believe it. And the upsetting part is that it's not even that difficult for me to believe it,
Right.
and that's kind of sad. So
And change your passwords.
yeah, yeah. So it's reporting time. So all of the reports about everything that happened last year and how much cybercrime increased and much how many more cyber incidents or attempted cyber incidents there were last year than the year before, and I think it was triple. I think that's what we're gonna see is that it tripled.
Yeah, it tripled from 2017 to 2018. It's looking like a 19% increase over 2019 or 2018 to 2019 is what I think I saw.
Hey,
but it's report season.
That would be a victory. Yeah.
That's a blue team victory.
Go blue team.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it really would, and that I don't know that we'll see that low of an increase in the attempted, but hopefully the successful, right? So I don't know that there are fewer attempted because, as we know, we've blocked on our new website. We've blocked 1,600, and people can't believe this, right? So our little website
hasn't even launched yet. We're still in beta mode.
We're still in beta mode. Haven't launched yet. We've blocked 1,600 IPs almost. IP addresses that are that are probing for vulnerable code, trying to brute force a password, which they're not going to do because we've got it locked down and we're really sneaky about it. Well, knock wood, they're not.
Yeah, keep telling them how sneaky we are.
Right.
Challenge accepted.
I know. Never mind. I didn't say that, but
we're wide open, guys.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. We don't have any honeypots on our site. No. So at any rate, we're 1,600 IPs is a lot of IPs over a 2-week period for a website the size of ours that isn't even e-commerce. So I think it has to have something to do with the fact that it's very clearly politically affiliated, right? So we're not a political show. We do talk about political hacking and election hacking and things like that, but we're not really a political show. But a lot of the shows on our network are. And I gotta think that it's got to be because of that political affiliation. Because the I mean, you guys know I've asked a lot of people about this at this point, and they're all like, "Holy crap, that's a lot of IPs." Well, I have a very low threshold for what I block, but still, that's a lot of IP addresses to block. I don't know. What do you guys think? It's because we are politically affiliated and it's an election year.
That, and I think the Russians just can't ignore a southern voice.
Mm, Yeah, right. Absolutely. It's my accent and the Russians. Do the
And they want
Chinese?
my butter churning tips.
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's the Ukrainians, I think, that want your
Right.
butter churning tips, and I, the Chinese.
Well,
Who knows?
one thing about hacks being down, one thing I've noticed is phone scams in my business. Phone scams are through the roof. I got 3 of them since the last show of clients who got phone scammed. Not with that level that we talked about on last week's show, but yeah, it's becoming a big problem. 2 of them this week were from Apple, convincing people to do things with their Apple phone that compromised their checking accounts.
Oh God.
Claiming to be from Apple, and they need to do this and they need to go there and they need to type this in and basically just hand over the keys to their banking account.
And this doesn't happen. I mean, I wish we could. We have a lot of people that listen to this show, but I wish that we could get everybody to listen to this show or read, or I, I wish people wouldn't fall for that. Because Apple doesn't do that. Google doesn't do that. Verizon doesn't do that. It just doesn't
Yeah,
happen.
we've talked about it in the past, is that these companies are never going to cold call you. They're never going to initiate contact with you in any way, shape, or form. You have to initiate contact with them. Then they may call you, but more than likely it's going to be email correspondence or live chat, very rarely on the phone.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
they are not calling you. Jeff from Microsoft is not calling you. Susan from Google is not trying to renew your license. And
Steve.
Joe from Amazon does not have a special award for you, and they are not renewing your warranty on your vehicle, and they are not helping you with your student loan debt. Stop falling for it.
Yeah, absolutely. Stop falling for it. Um, so, but we were in one of the first reports that came out was a report that we read today, and I don't even remember right off the top of my head who it was from.
This is from CNET.
Yeah, the story was from CNET. There are 9 rules to help you make and remember your login credentials. And I am also going to put this link in here for you, but we're going to go through them for you really quick too. But the report that we had was that here it is from Tech Republic. It's a report that's put out every year by the Identity Theft Resource Center. And basically, they found that the reason that most places get breached and the best way to keep them from getting breached is strong passwords. So we're going to go.
Yeah, I mean,
We're
we
going to
can
go through
skip through. We can skip through ours. The most important thing is, you were always told don't ever write down your password. Write down your password now. I mean, obviously, don't tape it on the back of your notebook when you're at an airport. But
Right. Yeah,
you know,
put it on a sticky
yeah,
note on the outside of your computer. Don't but you can have a safe place to write down your passwords. That's okay. Number 1 really though is use a password manager. There's some good ones out there and you can Google which ones are better and find the one that's better for you. And when you find one, do this. So, for instance, if you want to use, there's one called Fastlane. If you want to use, isn't that what it's called? If you want to use that,
FastPass. Yeah,
FastPass.
or something like
If
that.
you
Yeah.
want to use that, just Google FastPass vulnerability. And it'll tell you whether or not that is a safe password manager to use or probably not so safe. And there news outlets like or cyber news outlets like CNET and Tech Republic or there are others. They will give you the top 5 and tell you why they're good or why they're not good. They'll give you that. Sometimes they'll give you the worst 5. Stay away from these. They're vulnerable. Yeah. So, you can do some Googling around, decide which one is right for you, but use a password manager unless you have a really good reason not to. And I can't think of a really good reason not to.
Yeah, Jess mentioned in chat LastPass, CNET and Tech Republic also mentioned those too. That LastPass, and I know I've talked about the Omni Swiss Army knife that is Norton. They have a one password manager in it as well as a password generator too.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
I'm sure McAfee does as well.
And that is the key right there to using a password manager is use the generator. If you're going to look for a good one, find a good one. It's going to have a good password generator that's going to be, I'll tell you, it takes years to crack a password that is 20 or 30 characters that was created in a password manager like that. Years. Like,
okay, I'm gonna step in here a minute. I'm gonna put Lou and Ordy on the spot here. There is one part of the article that I find fascinating, and they recommend not periodically resetting your password because it enables the creation of bad habits of making easy to remember passwords. Where do you fall on that?
Oh, I agree. I agree completely with that. Once again, I use a password generator with the one pass. I use the Norton one, and yeah, I definitely. The one thing that drives me nuts is, and I'm glad my bank stopped doing this because they would make me change my password every 60 to 90 days, to the point where I got lazy and all I was doing was adding a new character or subtracting a character from it, but using the same password over and over again. And I totally agree that it makes you complacent and makes you lazy when you are constantly changing your password. So better to get one that has a random password generator, and then you only have to remember one password, and that's the one on your local machine or on your device that unlocks your password keeper.
Yep, I would agree too. And it's another reason to use a password manager where you're doing a random creation because then you can change that password. But the other really important reason to do it is then you can make sure that none of your passwords are the same. So if you've ever, so take the Equifax breach, for instance. If you had an account on Equifax and they got your password and it was the same password that you use for your bank account and your credit cards, they now have the password. The Chinese have your passwords for everything in your life. If you're using that password for everything. You feel me? So,
yeah, and, we always tell people to change their passwords, and we do. And
yeah,
but yeah, again, get yourself a one pass, get yourself LastPass, Norton, if you don't mind the bloat. Just
yeah.
it's so much easier because then you only have to remember one password, and every website you go on, you just say generate password, and it creates this ridiculously long random password with special characters and numbers and letters and uppercase and lowercase. It's like putting in the whip key on your Wi-Fi.
Yes, absolutely. And so if you have the password manager and every password for everything that you log into is different, then you don't have to worry about then that reason for changing your passwords often is kind of gone because the reason for doing it is because things get breached, people reuse passwords, and when something gets breached, they have the password for more than one thing. And that's why that's the biggest reason people recommend doing that. So it's kind of out the window at that point, and it does create bad habits. So I agree with it to a great extent too. But if you're one of those people that you're using common characters, common words, things like that, oh, just stop doing that.
Password. Your password is password. Now, two of the other things that the article recommended, and this one is too, is one, find out if your existing passwords have already been stolen, because that tells you where you've been compromised. Firefox has one that's the Firefox Monitor. Google Chrome has one for password checkup. And we told you about that website a few episodes ago too with Have I Been Pwned, PWNED,
And I think
where you can check.
I believe Credit Karma is doing it now too.
Yes,
they
probably
are. Yeah, they are. So.
Yeah, so there are lots of places to do that. Find out what breaches you were involved in, and definitely change those passwords and never use them again.
And the other part, the one that they recommended that I strongly recommend too, is whenever possible, two-factor authentication.
But not
yes,
text messages.
but not the text messaging, and I'm guilty of the text messaging one because I'm that goddamn lazy. But anything that's important, set up your 2FA on.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the reason they tell you not to use the text messaging is because that SIM card swapping, people like there are several different ways that people can compromise a cell phone right now. We won't go into those. Maybe we'll do that in a future show. But the the companies will get those locked down probably over maybe the next year. They definitely need to. But right now, texting is a very vulnerable area, so stay away from that as much as you can, and use a different method of two-factor authorization. But use it on, like Ordy said, on important things. Definitely use it.
100% agreed.
Yeah, and those are the important ones that I think we probably it need to go over, and we pretty much went over all of them. It does talk about in the middle. This is an advertisement. It's advertises VPN, so I'm just gonna throw that in there. Yeah, they're advertising VPNs on this page, so I'm just gonna go ahead and remind you to use a VPN if you haven't. But I know some of you that listen to this show have started using VPNs, and that makes me very happy.
And we've noticed that some people listen to the show have been using Brave too, which also makes us very happy.
Also makes us very happy. Absolutely.
We make no money from Brave.
We make no money from anybody. So if we talk about something on this show, they're not paying us to.
We actually use the product, or we are familiar enough with it.
Yep, exactly. We use it, or we know someone who does. So I think that's probably about it for us tonight. Tell them where they can find you, Ordy, like they don't know.
Well, I'm Ordy Packard on everywhere. I am Hordy. No, Ordy Packard on Twitter. This week is a juxtaposition week, and then I'll be back with you folks on Monday. And starting next week on Wednesday will be the return of Fubar.
Woohoo!
Also, toxic masculinity next week too.
Oh, awesome! It's that time.
It's that time.
Yeah, and Jeff, tell them where you are.
I can be found at Center Brewing Co. on Twitter, and Friday night on In the Crease, 30 minutes of hockey talk.
Woohoo!
Game on!
Yep, can never get too much hockey talk. And I'm here Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Tuesday night, I produce A Pod Divided. On Wednesday nights, I will either be producing Fubar or the red wine, whichever one is on that week. And this week it's the red wine, and next week it's Fubar. So really exciting stuff happening here on KLRNRadio.com or net. Doesn't matter. Either one. And we are America's What are we? America's Podcast Network.
America's Podcast Network, where the voice of liberty and freedom still reign.
There you go. Good job, Orty. All right. Thanks, you guys, for joining us. We love you very much, and we will see you all next week. Take care.
That's the state of my, state of my, state of my head. That's the state of my, state of my, state of my head. It's been a long, bumpy ride sitting back in the saddle. It's time to get down, dirty up our knees in the battle. Oh, come on, round up the boys, gonna make the walls rattle. Oh, our flag is tattered and our bones are shattered, but it doesn't matter 'cause we're moving forward. Round them up, let's go. Round them up, let's go.